All right, so here we go. We've got some wild news about Starfield success, and later in this video, some big Elder Scrolls 6 news as well. Also, one of the biggest features of Starfield is proving, at least for some, to be one of its biggest missteps and could haunt the game forever unless Bethesda decides to make a major alteration to this feature. And there's been a lot of complaints about the lack of features for Outpost. Well, wait until you see what this player built after 100 hours. It is insane. And Starfield accidentally generated this, I kid you not. Finally, yes, it does actually exist, but yes. Check this out right here. First and foremost, we have Leonardo DiCaprio in Starfield. This one comes from Big Chungus Supremix right there. But yeah, that is actually on point. Wow, you can get super accurate with the character creator, it seems, for sure. But yeah, we got to talk about some wild news about Starfield's success right here. Check it out. It is the 5th fastest selling game in Europe this year. It's also reportedly the biggest Xbox launch this generation, ahead of Forza Horizon 5. But also get this, the article goes on to describe that this doesn't even account for Game Pass numbers at all, and that is saying something. Look at the chart here. It says European 2023 week 1 sales. You can see Starfield is sitting there in 5th, just behind Star Wars Jedi Survivor, The Legend of Zelda, Diablo 4, and then Hogwarts Legacy is number 1 right there. But again, it's pretty impressive that it's sitting at number 5 without considering what's going on with Game Pass at all. That is insane right there. Now, we also got to talk about a very big feature for Starfield. This is a monumental feature that some people are feeling like is a huge misstep for this game. And they're also feeling like Bethesda needs to make some sort of adjustment to this with either some sort of update or patch. Check it out right here. This comes from Forbes. It says right here, Starfield's Eternal New Game Plus loop was not a good decision by Bethesda. Oh, really? So let me know if you agree with this one or not. Let's get into the nitty gritty, shall we? Now, there's parts of this article that I'm not going to read, by the way, because it would be considered spoilerific. So we're still going to avoid spoilers, of course. I think a lot of you are through the game, but still, I'm not going to chance it. However, with that being said, one of the core issues with New Game Plus is that a lot of people feel like you're missing out on a lot of the cool secrets that it offers. And we also have this big one right here as well. It says New Game Plus works better in single player games that are not heavily reliant on looting and crafting and building. But even in those games, you often get to keep the weapons you've acquired in new playthroughs, maybe upping the difficulty as you go. That's what I always assumed, no matter what New Game Plus means, is that you're heading into a new game experience with your weapons intact, and you just get to face off against more powerful foes or variations of those foes that offer new types of powers or challenges. But yeah, let's keep going, because there apparently is even more problems with this New Game Plus. And again, I really do think Bethesda needs to revisit this with some sort of update and perhaps offer us another alternative, so perhaps maybe we can keep our weapons and most notably our ships that we work so hard to create. So check it out. It says in Starfield you lose everything, all your weapons and armor, all your credits, every quest is wiped, and New Game Plus only gives you the chance to skip the main quest. But it's not just that. In a game that encourages creative ship and base building, you lose all of that, all of your designs and materials and whatever you built to that point. And for a game that encourages exploration, you lose all of your survey data on however many worlds you've bothered to catalog. To me, that's just crazy. Like, that is losing a lot and asking for the player to sacrifice almost too much. Now, New Game Plus is definitely for the few that can actually stomach that sort of loss and just be like, you know what? I'm willing to start fresh. Let me know if that is you or not. But man, giving up your ships, especially in this game, is extremely rough considering how much time it takes to actually craft and create those ships. At least let us carry over blueprints to those ships so we can just load up the blueprint very easily or something. All right, next up we have this. Why would they design a game like this? I understand that many people start new save files in Bethesda games to do new characters, make new decisions, and try different builds, but you do not erase your old character to do that. And in this version, the one thing you cannot do is try a new build, because Bethesda will not let you remove any of your skill points and put them somewhere else for any reasons. So if you were a combat character and you want to start exploring and base building better instead, you have to crawl your way through higher levels to get those skill points now, which takes way, way longer than before. Yeah, there's no respecking in this game. And it's interesting. We're going to keep going here because the question I have again is like, wouldn't you rather create a new character with a different background, story, background traits, perks, you know, all that stuff? That's the question, because New Game Plus definitely does not offer that whatsoever. Now it says that depends, but I think there are a few things to consider. New Game Plus does not allow you to alter your origin story of inborn traits. While you can remove those traits in the game itself, as far as I know, you cannot get new ones. So to experiment with how others feel, you'd have to create an entirely new character. Yeah, exactly. You also cannot respec skill points. If you want to do a different build in a new role, you have to just add another build on top of your current build, which will take a lot longer because leveling will be slower at higher levels. That's such a great point. You will eventually stop being challenged. The game does not scale terribly well in terms of presenting challenges on very hard difficulty, at least with a combat heavy build. Once you get enough skill points, the game will really stop being hard at any difficulty level, except for maybe some space fights. This will only change on the new save file when you're back to level 1, when the game is very hard on very hard. So yeah, the article does go into more spoilerific stuff, so we're going to avoid that and stop it there. But yes, New Game Plus is definitely this very interesting blend of things that I really do like. The concepts of, you know, hidden secrets within the game that you can experience throughout the entirety of the game. Again, not going to go into too much detail there. I'll leave it at that. But at the same time, you know, I think there needs to be an offering here within New Game Plus, or a third option, to where you are like, hey, I do want to keep my weapons. I do want to keep, you know, my bases, my spaceships, and that sort of stuff, and still have the opportunity to discover these really cool secrets that are here. Of course, I think that might conflict with what they're trying to tell with this story. A lot of you would be like, yeah, that wouldn't make any sense to do that. But then again, yeah, New Game Plus for me personally is sitting at a weird spot right now. Let me know if you're the same way. Of course, I just have such a tough time hopping into New Game Plus right now, knowing that I have to give up the spaceship that I have crafted and built, and it took forever, you know, to actually craft. That's rough. So yeah, there's been a lot of complaints about the Outpost building in Starfield, that it pales in comparison to Fallout 4, for example. But one player said, hell no, check out what I built after 100 hours. Check it out right here. It comes from Rebs Gaming. An entire factory was created in Starfield with the Outpost builder tool by Whhhaaa, I believe it is. They spent 100 hours creating this without any mods to show other players what's possible with the Outpost building. Here's a video of their build process. But here's the original post from him. He says, for all of you hating on Outpost, this is what 100 plus hours and dedication gets you. I present to you my factory, still work in progress. This is crazy. Check it out right here. Here is slide 1. We have 4 images showcasing the monster factory he was able to create. This is insanely impressive. And I was wondering what, you know, the community was going to be able to create, and we're finally starting to see the results of Outpost building. Again, that's not to say, of course, that Outpost building doesn't need improvements. They do need to get it onto the level, in my opinion, of Fallout 4. I totally agree with a lot of you on that one. It would be cool if they updated it. But we also have this strange take on Starfield right here. Check it out. It says, God of War Ragnarok main story takes 26 hours to complete the main story. After 2 weeks and over 5 million cells, the completion rate was approximately 25%. Starfield has been available for 2 weeks now and only takes 19 hours to complete and has a completion rate of under 3%. What is going on here? Well, this sums it up right here. Kareem says this, tell me you've never played a Bethesda game without telling me you never have played a Bethesda game. It's like, what happens in a Bethesda game is usually you go to a faction quest and you're lost in that faction quest for like hours and hours, and then you pick up this side activity, then you're like, wait, I want to try building an outpost. No, hold up, I want to try crafting a ship. I want to mess around with my weapons. It's a totally different experience from God of War Ragnarok. And even God of War Ragnarok was semi-open world, and the mileage varies from how quickly everyone went through that main story arc in that game as well. I took my time. I really enjoyed the side activities and that sort of thing in God of War Ragnarok. So yeah, the whole discussion is just ridiculous in my opinion. Now, we got to talk about a feature in Starfield that some people are saying is just terrible and needs to be expanded upon and revisited, hopefully perhaps through some sort of DLC or update. Check it out right here. It goes on to say this. It says, smuggling is terrible. This comes from JTB 1997, who says this: what is the point of having shielded cargo when I could sell contraband at the den every time? People have already talked about the sell value of contraband, which I also believe is dumb. You should have fences in the major cities that would buy contraband for a significant increased price for you smuggling it into the city. Great point. And Aurora is the biggest drug contraband in this game when it comes to lore legality. It is a hassle to craft and has no real incentive to get into the business of selling it outside of Neon. You should be able to buy in Neon or craft more easily from buying the fish oil on Neon and smuggle it off-world to sell on planets where it will be a high demand and high price. That only makes sense. I wanted to get rich from smuggling in this game, but this feature seems extremely broken and irrelevant. What do you all think? Do you think they will make changes to this mechanic, or will we have to rely on mods to make it more sense? And he does say this: loving all the replies, glad to see I'm not the only one that feels this way. Some of you have some great ideas on how to fix it, but it seems the main problem that would fix this and other similar issues is fixing the economy as a whole. Hopefully Bethesda works on this and doesn't just rely on modders to do it for them. I'm kind of curious because they're already interested in updating things that I honestly thought they would not be touching. I thought for sure they would be like, city maps, they don't need them. And it seems like we are going to be getting city maps. So maybe, just maybe, they can fine tune the economy. I would really love for them to explore the smuggling opportunities that are currently not present in the game. But mentioning that, we have kind of a follow-up post here. It says, there should be an option for us lawful good players to turn in contraband to authorities. This comes from Likeable Error. He has a great point here. For my first playthrough, I'm a law and order type who's trying to clean up the galaxy. When I find contraband, I usually collect it and then store it on a pirate ship that I boarded. I then undock and destroy the ship, atomizing the contraband and all claim to it. Well, that's actually pretty cool. I love that kind of like storytelling he's giving himself, you know. Now it says, however, more and more I feel there should be an option once you've aligned yourself with the UC Vanguard or Freestar Rangers to turn in the collected contraband for a small finder's fee, 500 credits, a piece or something, plus some experience. That might give me more incentive to seek it out. I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer, and it makes me wonder why it wasn't included in the game design. If I'm dumb and that's already an option, please let me know. Anyway, I'm just looking for an option when you enter a scan system to declare contraband or something, you know, like I'm with the USC Vanguard, I have contraband to hand over. That would be a sweet addition. Dude, that would be amazing. And it would give you like less of a reason to be so fearful of having contraband on your ship. However, I do feel like you would have to be part of one of those factions, the lawful factions of the game, for that feature to be kind of implemented. Because if you're just like some citizen with contraband, I don't think that would make much sense. Of course, that would be just your way of trying to work your way out of something, you know, out of going to prison, you know. So yeah, I love that idea for sure. Also, we have this one right here. There's no reason for vendors to have so little credits. We've heard this time and time again, and it seems like you guys keep mentioning it out in the community Reddits and the forums that was posted by Lord Mainstream. And yeah, that definitely needs to be adjusted. Now, there's also a mini game that does occur that was mentioned out on the community subreddit that is through the story. I'm not going to get into it too much. Again, I don't want to spoil anything just in case. You never know. But I'm sure most of you have experienced it. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's part of the main story arc, and that's what I'm going to leave it at. But there was a post here that I can't show, but I wanted to highlight some of my thoughts about this. I think they really need to do something with this mini game to change it up, because if you're going to be playing this story over and over and over again, that one mini game that reoccurs throughout the story is so boring in my personal opinion, and I think it's very redundant and they need to add something to it for sure. All right, so this was accidentally generated by the game. Finally, it actually does exist. Check it out. My game accidentally generated a river. This comes from Bearpaw 5000, and look at it. It's beautiful. You don't see it every day in Starfield, but guess what? It actually does exist. Hey, that's kind of looking like Skyrim right there. And it kind of makes you wonder why there's so few rivers, generated on random planets. I mean, they do exist, don't get me wrong, but I also wonder if it's to try to keep like Starfield very much unique in its identity compared to other Bethesda offerings like Skyrim and Elder Scrolls, to make sure that, hey, this feels like you're in space constantly exploring. Of course, that could be not the case whatsoever. But yeah, it was cool to see a river for once. Also, someone noted this right here. This is very cool. It says, houses on Jemison are built using concrete 3D printers similar to tech planned to be used on the moon, Mars, Earth in real life. This is really cool detail right here, and explains why the surface of these concrete homes look the way they do here on Jemison. This was posted by Unknown Dota. So great find right there. And that's one thing that I love about Starfield. I really do feel like they sat down with engineers, NASA people, and said, what does the future look like? And they really did their best to try to make this a more realistic take on the future. Also, someone discovered something that seems to be from Elder Scrolls, from Skyrim. Check it out right here. It says, I found a planet covered in Nirnroot. Oh, really? That picture alone makes some noise. This comes from Borthuis, who posted that one, and it does definitely look like Nirnroot. Now, we don't know if Skyrim and Starfield are perhaps in the same universe or not, but there's a lot of different Easter eggs perhaps pointing towards that direction, possibly. Also, mentioning Easter eggs, check it out right here. Arrival Easter egg. It says they are coming. And look at that. It looks like it to me. I think someone is a fan of Arrival at Bethesda Game Studios. So yeah, I think that's actually on point. Now, we also have some news about, guess what? Elder Scrolls 6. So this was posted by IGN. Check it out right here. The Elder Scrolls 6 won't come out on PS5, Microsoft document reveals, and isn't due until 2026. So let's get into this article right here, because apparently there's some new details. It says the exclusivity status of Elder Scrolls 6 was one of the burning questions following Microsoft's $7.5 billion buyout of Bethesda back in 2021. Xbox boss Phil Spencer has danced around the issue, most recently insisting a decision has yet to be made. But now, according to one of Microsoft's own documents, the debate is over. The Elder Scrolls 6 is set to skip PlayStation 5. And I've always said to you guys, of course it would be. I mean, you don't go and buy a company for $7.5 billion and, of course, expect it to appear as a multi-platform title. It's going to end up like Starfield. If Starfield isn't going to be multi-platform, do you really think they're going to have Elder Scrolls 6 be on PlayStation 5? I highly, highly doubt it. Now, it goes on to say this right here. Axios reporter Stephen Tadalo retweeted a freshly unsealed document lifted from the Federal Trade Commission versus Microsoft trial over Activision Blizzard buyout. Wow, buyout. And includes a list of announced Bethesda games along with their platform and release window intentions. So it goes on to say this from Microsoft's response in the FTC versus Microsoft case. Elder Scrolls 6 listed here as Xbox and PC and releasing 2026 or later. During the testimony at the hearing, Xbox's Phil Spencer went on to say the game was at least 5 years out and platforms were technically to be dated. So here is a list right here. Again, Elder Scrolls 6. It's not going to be most likely again on PlayStation 5. Would not hold your breath if you're like, oh God, I hope it comes out on PlayStation 5. Now, that being said, the biggest thing out of this is I would expect Elder Scrolls 6 to actually be launching on whatever Microsoft is secretly working on right now and what they would consider to be the next Xbox after Xbox Series X. So I think it's going to be potentially a launch title for the new Xbox, but also still simultaneously release on Xbox Series X, maybe Xbox Series S. We'll see. Some people might like argue that Xbox Series S would be holding it back big time. I could see that being an argument by the time 2028 rolls around. I think this is going to potentially be a 2028 title at the earliest. That's my assessment of this, but we'll see. They're saying 2026 at the earliest. 2028 to me seems more realistic given things happen in development, but they do have the backing of Microsoft this time around. That's huge. We'll see how that changes development for Bethesda and see if, you know, titles actually start releasing a lot faster and we get a cycle of, you know, Fallout, you know, every 2 years, and then like Skyrim the next 2 years, and then Starfield in this rotation. Let me know if that's something you guys would actually like or if you think that's too often. All right, so now it's time to get into your top comments. Remember to leave a comment down below. It could end up in a future video. So yes, this was my most recent video, top 100 insane ship builds. I'm telling you what, the community has gone absolutely nuts and have brought us some amazing ships. Yeah, submit your ships to me. I'm going to throw that link in the description below. I will credit you, of course. That also, yeah, includes base builds, so go for it. Now we have this. They should come out with a ship marketplace where people can trade and sell their ships in-game. Everyone's thinking about it. They want it. Of course, that would make the game like pretty much an online game when you start adding in stuff like that. So I can see that being the controversy perhaps with that sort of feature. I would absolutely love to see that and be able to show off like your ships by touring them myself, you know, and be like, hey, check out what this guy created right here. We are exploring the Titanic, for example. Also, we have this one right here, the Real Innate, who says, now, wouldn't it be nice after all that hard work Bethesda considered that we would like to save a template of the ships we took so long to build so that we can get these ships back in New Game Plus? Yes, someone's saying it, without spending potentially hours to rebuild them. Also, a simple share code system so we can recreate ships easily others have built. The share code system is genius, dude. That is genius. Man, if they could pull that off in the future, that would be wild. Now we have this one right here. I feel like there needs to be a way to share ship builds where people can select ships they'd love to see flying around in their own galaxy. Yep. The fact that the gaps make a pair of eyes on the Batwing at 1208 is just absolutely makes the build. Hell yes, that Batwing build was impressive. Then we have these ships have at least 16 times the detail than expected, and it just works. But yeah, there it is, the latest happenings around Starfield. Hey, we even got some Elder Scrolls news. I'm not surprised about that news whatsoever. I mean, yeah, not expecting it on a PlayStation platform at all going forward. I think anything Bethesda Game Studios actually creates in-house that's related to Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Starfield going forward is going to end up on an Xbox platform or PC, and that's that. Let's end that discussion. Yeah, but there are some interesting things. I will say this much. There are some interesting things happening between Microsoft and Nintendo, so you never know. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned here for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.